What up? Marsh Pod. Coming to you with part 2 of the Can They, Can't They Race to 1. We're on to the Legacy Conference. We did the Legend Conference, went through every single team, why they could not win the Race to 1. We're now doing the same exact thing here for the Legacy Conference. Again, this is not predictions. My predictions are out there. Again, I don't love them because you're going to get them wrong just as much as you get them right. But this is just a breakdown for every single team, making the case for why they can win the championship, why they can win the Race to 1, and why they cannot. Let's start with the top team, Rocky Mountain Monsters. Why can they win it? Well, they can win because they have impeccable depth. There are, I think I've said this before, I said it on Rick's pod, there's 5 dudes that are ranked. Their entire starting 5 is ranked in the top 100, and they probably have 8 guys that you would be willing to say can start on basically every other team or any other team in SimWorld Hoops with Zane Davis, Boobie Walker, and Maury Washington. Justin Bell, I think he's a top 10 guy next season. Ireland Early, we thought was going to be their elite dude. Instead, he's just a great shooter for them. And Lucas Banks is an incredibly underrated playmaker. They also have incredible scoring. They are the number 1 scoring offense in the league. They hit the highest field goal percentage at 51.7, and they're 8th in the league in three-pointers. So they will light it up on any given night. That's why they can win it all. Why can't they win it? Their defense has been truthfully suspect. They allow the 21st fewest points per game, or most points per game, however you want to look at it. I guess that'd be the 11th most. You want to be low there. They're not. They have the second worst opponent field goal percentage and a bottom 10 3-point against percentage. So they score a lot. They give up a lot of points on defense. So if they're not going to pull this thing off, that's going to be why their defense does not show up to play. Our number 2 team, Gotham 5. Why can they win? Well, because they've been red hot, 15-3 over their last 18. They have size and length. It's probably unmatched by any team in the entire league. Mackenzie Mbako playing at the 3 at 6'9". That's a big man for most every other team. Aaron Lovejoy, Mugen Williams, both 6'11" at the 4 and the 5. They got 5 dudes on this team that are ranked as well. Kian Anthony is the 5th, and he comes off the bench at just 15 years old. So this team is full of talent. But their calling card is their defense, right? They have the 3rd best currently opponent points per game, the 3rd lowest opponent field goal percentage. We saw that over the last 18 games, they're actually allowing less than 60 points per game, which would be a league high. And they actually shoot the ball pretty decently well, right? They're 4th in field goal percentage. They make they score the 8th most points per game, and they're 4th in rebounding. This is a team that is top 5 in a lot of categories, top 10 in a lot of categories. They light it up. Why won't they win? Because at times their shooting kind of comes and goes. They're 17th in three-point shooting. If they get into a matchup where it's heavy on the three-point ball, Gotham 5 doesn't tend to win those. And they have the lack of a super-duper star. Has Mackenzie Mbako been better recently since the start of the season? You betcha. Has he been elite? You betcha. Is he a super-duper star? Is he DJ Wagner, Bronny James? I don't really know. That's what we haven't seen from Mackenzie Mbako. He's shown it for bits and spurts. He's had incredible quarters, and then he's kind of faded into the background. If he's going off to that extent, he's got to be getting more minutes than they've been giving him. All right, number 3, Originators. Why can they win it? DJ Wagner. Simple as that. DJ Wagner is the offensive fulcrum of this team, the 2nd highest scoring team in the league. That's also 4th in 4th in 3-point and 7th in field goal. They can score the ball. And DJ Wagner is the part of that you love to see, but he's not alone. Jace Daniel comes off the bench, shoots 69%. He hasn't been getting a lot of run, but he has been getting some, and he's been good in it. Kadarius Loftus leads the team in three-pointers at 86. Jared Quinney can be a decent three-point shooter. They have guys that can score. Why won't they win, though? Because with bad matchups, that's where they've been exposed. Victor Sogauskas against a big man that's not in the paint, which, by the way, that's what they're getting in the first round. That creates massive open lanes to the hoop, and that's where Ilgauskas is at best. He is not good defending in space, and that's where he's often been asked to be. Defending in space against more athletic big men, that's a challenge. At the same time, they don't shoot the ball well from deep. They allow a lot of teams to shoot well from deep. 43% opponent three-point percentage. That is bottom 5 in the league. They give up a lot of open looks from deep. That's concerning. Meanwhile, bad night from Kadarius Loftus and Jared Quinney, which we've gotten a lot of over these last 5 games. That's not good for them. They need to have somebody support DJ Wagner in a more obvious way. Loftus has not done that recently after looking like a guy that maybe could be a number 1 player elsewhere. So that has to be a cause for concern. Okay, let's move to number 4. Now it's Beasts of the East time. Why can Beasts of the East get it done? Because they have size and interior dominance. This is the number 1 defensive team in the entire league. They are dominant defensively. They allow the fewest points per game, the lowest opponent field goal percentage. Why do they do that? Because they are incredibly versatile inside the paint, led by none other than Levin Cutler, 25th ranked player in the league. They also have JoJo Kearney, who's flies under the radar, but he's a really valuable second piece to this team. That's why they can win it. Meanwhile, they're supported by really good perimeter defenders. Fareed Redmond is not a slouch on the defensive defensive side of the ball. Kasim Porter gets it done. Isaiah James also gets it done on the defensive end. You add in guys like Leonidas Wright, Cuddy Hugs and Kisses. This is a versatile team defensively. It's why they are as good as they are on the defensive side of the ball. However, they have no size behind Cutler and Kearney. Those two are 6'9" apiece. The next tallest dude on this roster are the 6'4" of Kamarian Goodyear, Fareed Redmond, and Cuddy Exo. That's it. And we've seen this team get blitzed anytime Cutler sits on the bench. It happened against Gotham 5 earlier in the season, or late in the season rather, but recently. They have a big lead. They're up by double digits after 1 quarter. They sit Cutler. They sit Kearney. They get blasted. In my opinion, Cutler's got to play 32 minutes. He's a phenomenal basketball player. Is he an offensive dynamo? No, he's not. Is he second on the team in scoring? Yes, he is. Is he a good interior scorer? He sure is. But his biggest presence is rebounding the ball. This is a team that's 15th in the league in total rebounding at 31.5 per game. All of that comes from, not all of it obviously, but the majority of that comes from Levin Cutler. This team cannot afford to have him on the bench in the race to 1, and if he is on the bench, their time in the race to 1 is going to be quick. Let's go to 5. Run DMV. Why are they going to win? Because they shoot the goddamn nets off the rim. This team is an incredible three-point shooting team. They're first in the league in three-pointers made per game at 8.3. They're third in the league in percentage at 43.1. Offensively, overall, this team is phenomenal. 5th in scoring, 3rd in assists at 17.6 per game. They get to the line the 5th most, and they hit it at an 89% clip. This team is phenomenal offensively, which is a testament to Coach Murray because, look, they don't have anyone that you would profile and say that's a go-get-him type of offensive guy. Yeah, Nick Hugo's awesome, but he's not even their leading scorer. Heck, their leading scorer, Kamarian Bracken, is potentially coming off the bench in the race to 1. You're relying on Brandon Smith, good basketball player, but not an elite scorer by any stretch of the imagination. Ty Rocco in the backcourt, and then John Hudgens and Malik Duffin. Stop me if any of those guys sounded like awesome offensive players. That's impressive. It's why they could win because they just all shoot the, like I said, britches out the building. But it's also why they could lose. Because if Nick Hugo does not get 10 or more shots, we've already talked about this, they've lost majority of the time. They're 9-2 in games in which he's gone for 10 or more field goal attempts. They don't fare as well, obviously, when he's not getting involved in the system. So that's why they could potentially lose this. At the same time, if those three-point shots aren't falling, that's going to be a concern. They lose games when they don't get the three-point shot rolling. And their defense is really not that great, okay? They're 19th in opponent points per game at 69.9. 14th in opponent field goal percentage, and 30th in opponent three-point percentage. So they shoot the ball incredibly well. Unfortunately, for every shot they make from deep, they're allowing opponents to shoot the exact same. So if they are not shooting the ball well and they're allowing teams to shoot the ball well, it's quick blouses for them. Number 7, beyond the arc. Why can they win? Well, Tyson Simpson, start and stop. He is the most dominant big man in the league. He's got a very real case for being the most dominant player in the league. If he's going, there's not many teams in general that are going to be able to slow him down. Meanwhile, they've got a great defensive unit, and despite being a team that relies very heavily on Tyson Simpson being the focal point of their offense, they're a league-leading team in assists at 19.3 per game. This is a very active team. Part of that is because of Tyson Simpson being a not empty calorie big man with 1.5 assists. That's decent. But then you look around. David Duffy, Devin Fields, both are above 4 assists per game. Keshawn Blasingame, 3.2 assists per game. The ball does not stick, and that's why you see so many options and opportunities for Tyson Simpson. Meanwhile, top 10 defense, 6th fewest points per game against, 4th lowest field goal percentage against, and 14th lowest three-point percentage against. This team gets it done on the defensive end. But why won't they win? Well, they won't win because what's behind Tyson Simpson offensively? Despite Tyson Simpson having 19.9 points per game and 9.5 rebounds per game, numbers that should, in theory, boost this team to be tops in scoring and rebounds. They are 15th in scoring and 30th in total rebounding. They don't have anything behind him. And then you look at the second-tier rebounders. It's Christian Kelly at 5.4. Nobody else gets more than 4 rebounds per game. The next highest is Keshawn Blasingame, a shooting guard, at 3.5. So they get beat on the glass if Tyson Simpson's not out there. And if Tyson Simpson is just marginally slowed down, they haven't shown to have guys that can get it done. Yeah, Daniel Ori can shoot the 3-ball incredibly well. 80 made threes on the season. But can he do it on his own off the dribble? And this is a team that hasn't relied on going off the dribble. But can they get somebody to make buckets if Tyson Simpson isn't? They haven't yet proven that that's possible. Number 7, reigning trays. Why can they win? Japhet Towns and Kevon Jackson. Those guys, Japhet Towns is a top 6 player in the league. Kevon Jackson is a vertical threat at the guard position. That stuff matters. Both those guys, if needed, can go out and get themselves a bucket. They also shoot the highest free throw percentage in the league at 90%. If they get to the free throw line, which they haven't been great at, they're 17th in the league. If they can get to the free throw line, they can add so many points for themselves. But why won't they? Why won't they win? Well, because it's going to be hard as hell to play through all this drama that's surrounding Kevon Jackson right now. That could not be a worst timed public release of anything in terms of saying he's not back next year. Why? Why now? And look, I'm not saying that the media's at fault here. The question is, why, Kevon, would you even say this if you did in fact say this? Why? What is there to be gained to saying that now? Your opinion's not going to change in 2 weeks, right? In the next 2 weeks, your opinion, which you made obvious in a conversation with B-Ron, is not changing. So why did you say this now? You got no advantage to saying it. You get no benefit. You're not going to suddenly get the ball more on offense because of that. No one's going to acquiesce to you when you've said, well, even if we win, I might not stay. There's been no advantage for you to say anything right now. So why'd you say anything at all? That drama is going to be very hard to get around. Meanwhile, this team is not good at rebounding. They don't get second chance opportunities, 27th in rebounding. And there's no ball movement. They have 13.6 assists per game. And that's with guys like Japhet Towns and Kevon Jackson who can score a lot. But they have nobody that averages more than 3 assists per game. Balls stop and start in the same hands that it starts possessions in. That's not a recipe for success. All right, number 8, Bad Boys Basketball. Why can they win? Lorenzo Phenom. I'm not a huge Lorenzo Phenom fan. But the fact of the matter is, down the stretch, when they needed wins, Phenom took over in the fourth quarter. He is still a 16-point, 7-rebound per game, 3-assist guy. He's still that dude. Is he inefficient? You bet. Does he not have a lot of post moves? You betcha. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, he's still their best player, and he's still a top 10 guy in this league. Meanwhile, he's got a great front court partner in Malcolm Chamberlain that allows them to have phenomenal interior defense. This is a good defensive team in terms of just generally holding their own. They allow the 7th lowest opponent field goal percentage per game, and they have the 6th most blocks. They deter teams inside the paint. They're also a good shooting team, 2nd in the league in three-point shooting, going up against a team that loves to shoot the ball in the Originators. I beg your pardon, that is not the Originators, in Rocky Mountain. They are also 9th in field goal percentage. This is not a bad offensive team, 11th in scoring at 71.1. They actually score pretty well and efficiently. A lot of that efficiency is bolstered by guys like Malcolm Chamberlain, who's shooting above 60, Camden Gilroy, who's shooting above 60, Aiden Weaver, who's shooting above 50%, is a three-point sniper. If he gets rolling, this is a dangerous basketball team. Meanwhile, why won't they win? Because Phenom hasn't been consistent. He's a sub 50% field goal shooter, and he's a big man. You should be shooting at least 57% if you're a dynamic offensive big man. Lorenzo Phenom doesn't do that. And who else do they have? Right? They don't move the ball to guys, or they don't get the ball into hands for guys that can take it off the dribble. Aiden Weaver, great three-point shooter, not a great on-ball threat. Samuel Baugus, decent on-ball threat, good facilitator, 5.6 assists per game, shoots 44% from the floor. They don't have guys, Bo Pagnotti, shooting 41% from the floor. Guy came into the season, we thought he'd be a top 15 guard or overall player and one of the best guards in the league. He hasn't been. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes off the bench in the race to 1. That's not good. That's not good when you've got your best player is Lorenzo Phenom, who doesn't have great post moves, and you don't have anybody else to create any other type of offense. Again, not a recipe for success. All right, that is the Legacy Conference. All of this, of course, tips off this weekend. Quadruple headers on Saturday and Sunday will be phenomenal watching. The first game on Saturday is at 1. That's Southeastern Lone Star, Rocky Mountain Bad Boys, OGs Beyond the Arch, and H-Town Hoopers Yacht Club is our Saturday. It's gonna be fun. All right, that's what we've got. We will talk to you after. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you this weekend too.